You're watching FemVids, and today we're talking about the International Day of Families. This year, what the real theme is when it comes to looking at families is looking how families can be basically a valuable asset in achieving the Millennium Development Goals. Now, these were a set of goals mostly related to poverty and a lot related to access to certain kinds of things, like water and education and maternal health needs. Now, when we're talking about the role of the family and all that kind of stuff, I think that really the most important thing when it comes to looking at any kind of development, you incorporate the family as a structure, as your cultural context. In the Pacific, we have huge families, whether it's your nuclear family or your extended family where you're incorporating your cousins and your aunts and your uncles and your nieces and your nephews, or the humongous family that a lot of us might have, which might stretch 3 different families in one way and 6 in the other. It is because of these different cultural variations and so on that who makes the decision in those kind of cultural contexts is really who decision makers themselves need to reach in order to create effective development at the local level. A lot of developing countries need that cultural context because you can't just have people in government say, this is what's going to happen, unless you're sure that it will work in those kinds of smaller community settings. Those community settings being those who need the change the most. At the same time, you can ask, where are the women? Women play a very important role within the family structure. They are mostly the ones that get things done. So by making sure that you account for that, you are making sure that in those maybe community level decision making spaces and so on, these are people that are also incorporated into decision and the whole decision making process. It is about making sure that you have a variety of viewpoints and opinions as well as a number of points of contact to be able to determine the best way forward. Because without knowing where you're really working, you don't really know how things will work out at the end. So of course, families, communities, the country at large, really all of it is rooted in that local level per family basis when we're talking about development. Because really, with the shift to sustainable development goals bound to be looked at and determined 2015 forward, we need that strong foundation. And those foundations are really the families that make up a country. If these foundations are not strong, how do we expect developing countries to become developed countries? Unless you're raising the issues like maternal mortality and women's health among the entire family, and looking at how those structures can support looking at and achieving those kinds of things. If you're talking about poverty as a whole and the increasing feminization of poverty or burden of poverty on women, you're going to need to look at what women's roles actually are, and looking at the family structure is a perfect way to start. So, 15th of May was the International Day of Families. I've been Sean Rolls. This has been another FemVids. Thanks for watching. Leave any of your questions or comments on YouTube, on Facebook, or send them to me on Twitter, and we'll try and get them answered. See you next time.